Morning ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Start the Week stamping with Linda. We're going to be doing quite a lot of stamping today. I'm just going to show you a few techniques with our Stamparatus, which is a stamping platform that you can get from Stampin' Up. And here it is in all its glory. It's what's called a stamping platform. So you can use it, you pop your stamps on there, ink them up, close it up, and you can use it for lots of stamping. It comes with two plates like this. So here's your second one. So you can use multiple stamps and swap them around. You can also move them around, which I'll show you in a minute. And two magnets. Now I have one on the top and one in the storage space underneath. The reason I do this is they are really strong, and if they are too close to each other and they get attracted to each other, they can actually break. And I find for most projects I only need one magnet, so I keep that one as a spare. Sometimes on bigger projects you might need two. And the reason I've got washi tape around mine is to help lift it up, because as I say, it's quite strong. It's not so bad when you've got your mat for doing photopolymers on there, so that sort of reduces a bit of the magnetism. You can see when you've got it on there, it is actually, in fact, it's easier just to slide it off than to try and lift it, because it's such a strong magnet, which is really useful to have. So there's loads of different techniques you can use with this, and probably there's two that I use most are where you use more than one step stamping. So if you're going to build up an image, like for example this is one I did earlier, and I'm going to do one again. I'm just showing you how I did it with the flowers. So you do the fabulous flamingo, or whatever it's called, and then the poppy parade, and then you get a much more 3D effect. And then you can also use the Stamparatus to position the leaves of the flower and everything like that. So I think I'll probably start with that. So I've just cut off a few pieces of random card really, and I'm just going to position this one and pop the magnet on. I'm going to use that stamp is the art gallery stamp, which is this one, and you've got, I suppose, 3 layers to make up the flower. Sorry about that, get rid of that. So we've got the main flower, the highlights, and then the leaves. So if we take the main flower first, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to position that so that it's facing there towards the top, because the leaves sort of curve that way and will be going in there. So I'm having it facing that way, probably a little bit nearer the middle. This is the size of a standard card front, and the plan is once I've done this I'll just cut them down and put them on the front of cards. So you've put that down gently on the paper, and you're going to pick it up on the Stamparatus. I'll move it over slightly so you can see. Paper's roving all over the place. I've done this to try and keep myself in shot, but we shall see. Right, so that's stuck onto the plate, and it's Flirty Flamingo, not Fabulous Flamingo. There are 50 colours. Sometimes it's hard to remember them all, and so I'm just going to ink up this pad with the pad, so just as you would normally do, just inking the stamp up, put that to one side, and then you close, fairy finger pressure all the way around, and then when you open it up gently, there we go, beautiful stamped image. Now this is actually a watercolour wash type image, so I know that has stamped properly, but if there was any bits that it had missed, it's all in exactly the same place, so you can go back and just stamp it, and it's exactly in the same place. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe that off with my cloth, and then we'll do the details. Now I'm going to do the details in Poppy Parade. which I have here. So, and I don't need to take that stamp off. So if I was going to make half a dozen cards like that, I would just leave this on, turn it over, and then we've got a clean area. So I'm going to get this stamp. Now this is when the fun starts, because trying to line up when the camera's in the way is not always easy. Sometimes you end up with my head in the way. So I'm trying to do it from even further above, and that's not working, so I'm coming back down again. And let's have a look. So I find that these two bits here tend to go to the top of those two petals, she says. There or thereabouts. No, it's those two. So it's that one and that one go to those petals there. So that's why it wasn't making any sense. Okay. I think I had it tilting the other way last time. Right, and then that just lines up. I think I'm going to have to... You just stand up, stick your bottom out and have a look when you're doing it. I'm doing it now over the top of the camera, so it's not as easy to see because it's quite a way away. So I think I'm going about there, roughly. As I say, it doesn't have to be exact anyway, because it is more of a watercolour wash type flower. So I'm not totally convinced. I'm just going to have to put my head in. Okay, excuse my head while I just line up this stamp. So yeah, I make these mistakes so you don't have to, obviously. Right, there we go. I'm going with that. It might be a wee bit low, but we'll go with that. Okay, and of course the thing is, if you're not happy with it, then you can still... You can stamp it once if it's not right, readjust it, get it in the right place, and then just start again with a new card, because this is already, that's still in place. Okay, so we'll just gently lift that off and not move anything. I did press that down a little bit hard, so I'm just going to pop that back, double check, and then with our Poppy Parade, I am now going to ink this up. And I'm going to badly stamp it on purpose. Okay. So I'm just going to drop it down, lift it up, and you can see we've caught a little bit, but nothing much. And then, yeah, just haphazardly. Yeah, it's still not all there. Go back in again, this time pressing it down nice and gently, evenly across the whole image. Lift it up, and there it is. Still not convinced I've got all of it, so I'm just going to do that again. So this is the thing, if you're not sure, you can keep going back until you are. And there we go, there's our luscious 3D flower that was stamped there. So now all we need is a stalk. So I'm just going to rinse that or wipe that down. And I can now take this off completely and go on to the second plate, which I have here. And just pop that on, and then I am going to pop the leaves on. I'm going to do these in green. So move the magnet to the top of the card now, because I'm going to be doing the leaves down here, and here are the leaves. So let's come in here. Oops, little hair on them, that's not good, that will show. So, and I'm just going to line those up so they're not quite touching the flower. There we go. And then I'm going to lift that up, and this time using shaded spruce, I'm going to finish off the flower. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so again, just pressing gently all the way around. Ah, see, didn't get that leaf. Press again. There it is. So it's fabulous. So if it didn't quite work out, it's fine. You can do it again. Nothing's moved. You're not going to get any double vision. Well, yeah, double vision, any double images, anything like that. So, right, so I'm going to finish this off. And what this stamp set has is some lovely long sentiments. And long sentiments are so-and-so's to get straight. So, let's have a look. I think we'll go with I'm Thinking of You. Okay, so let's find it on here for a start. You are. I'm Thinking of You. So, nice long sentiment. Okay, so I'm thinking of you, and I think I want I'm Thinking of You just sort of just there. I think that looks nice. I think that looks straight. So this time I'm going to take the leaves off and pop them on top of the stamp box. And I'm going to come along, and I'm not sure if you can see, maybe if I move it about a little bit, there is actually, there you can see it there, there's a grid pattern. Okay, so I'm now going to use that grid pattern to check that the sentiment is straight. So because my card's straight, so I'm just going to have a look and say, now I do think actually I have got it quite straight there, but you could always take it off. And what I sometimes do is put, if you look there, you can just see the line just about going through the letters there, but you could take that off and readjust it so that it is straight if you weren't happy with it where it is. So it just gives you, because everything's anchored, if it's straight on here, it will be straight on the card. So again, I think, because it's open and I'm getting it on my card, I'll use the shaded spruce again. It's lovely. And there's nothing worse than getting to this stage on a card. So we've done 3 lots of stamping here. We've got 3 different colours on to then mess up your sentiment. And with this, you can't, because it's all there. I'm Thinking of You. Not quite on the I'm there. Just press it down a little bit more. There we go. Perfectly straight. Perfectly stamped. 3 colour card ready to go. So I think you'll agree that that's made that card an awful lot easier. So now the other use for it is called step stamping, and I should have left I'm Thinking of You on there. And I think I'll just use this as an example because I probably am going to take it off, cut off the next bit that I'm going to do on this one. But I'm just going to, I can remember how to do this now. I always get confused which way up I need to put it. So if I put I'm Thinking of You, I will use another piece of paper because I really like that. I'll do the one that I've just got ink on, which is this one. Okay, and I'm going to put the Thinking of You just about there, and this time I'm going to purposely do it on an angle. Okay, and we're just going to catch that with the Stamparatus. So notice what happens if you don't use your magnet. So I'll pop my magnet over there. Right, so we're going to ink up, and we're going to stamp I'm Thinking of You. Cute. Then what we're going to do is move this up a step. Ink again. And we've got I'm Thinking of You directly above it, parallel. Move it again. Ink it up again. And there it is for the 3rd time. Now each of these steps is an inch, and you think, well, that's really nice, but it's quite spread out. Well, that's fine. I'm just going to clean the stamp. I'm just going to position it again, and this time halfway between. So you want to line them up. Obviously, you could take a lot more time over it than I am to make sure it's exactly in the middle. And then we go back to the beginning. So, some. Just line up my card again, and we'll go back, say, to the Flirty Flamingo. And then we have I'm Thinking of You. Move it up again. I'm Thinking of You. And then move it up again. So now we're really thinking of you because we've done it 6 times. Okay, and how cool does that look? So you could do that as a background, you could do happy birthday a load of times down, things like that. Do it more than 2 colours, you could do any number of colours you want. So it's a nice simple way of getting a really nice regular effect with your stamps. So that's one of my favourites as well. So, okay, so we'll move that, and so we'll move on to some rubber stamps now. Now when you're using the rubber stamps, you take away the foam pad. I'll pop that off, pop that back on the stamp box so I don't lose it, and I'm going to put this back down to the beginning. Okay, so now what I'm going to stamp with is this. Now this is a beautiful stamp. I'm sure you know, anybody who's seen it, is absolutely gorgeous. All those butterflies all connected together on one stamp, and the reason they're connected together is with this die you can cut them all out at once, so you can get all 6 butterflies cut out at once, which is why the stamp is connected like that. It does come with lots of other dies as well as these. These are my favourite, with the gorgeous detailed butterflies. So I'm going to do this, and I don't have a Stamparatus, so what am I going to do? Well, let me show you the size of the block that you would use to stamp that with, and it is massive. It's so big it won't even come out of my stamp block thing. It's huge and it weighs a ton. You can see how it's flattening my fingers, so it's really, really heavy, and you've got to pop your stamp on. It just about fits, and then how on earth are you going to hold it so you're not touching the butterflies? You know, it's really old school, basically. There's another way you can lay it down flat and pop your paper on top, and then rub your a smaller one than this on top. But you know, if you move the paper when you're dropping it down, anything like that, it's going to be difficult. So here we go, Stamparatus. So what I'm going to do, it's a rubber stamp, so I don't need this. Okay, so, and with this one, what I've done is I've cut myself a piece of grid, I'm torn it, piece of grid paper, which I'm just going to pop in here. And that's because the stamp is bigger than the piece of card. Okay, so then I'm just going to pop that in the middle. Put that on my grid paper. And then I'm going to lift that up. So now I'm going to get my favourite colour at the moment, which is Mr. Moonlight, which the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice is what the colour of my logo is now. And I'm just going to quickly ink this up. Now, I'd always suggest to stamp this size, you take the ink pad to the stamp, and then you're making sure that you've got all of it covered with ink, which I have. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do a test stamp, just to see exactly where the stamp is on my Stamparatus. Okay, so nice even pressure on the stamp. Yep. So I'm happy with that for now. We'll just give it a second to dry. Okay, and then I know that this stamp is bigger than this piece of card, but I want to get as much butterfly on this piece of card as I can. So I am going to position it like that. Now this time, because this stamp's so big, I can't use the magnet because the magnet would get in the way. So you don't always get a second bite of the cherry on this, although actually if I line it up with the grid lines on my paper, I will do. So we're at, it's 2.5 and well, two and a half there, and 1/2 centimetre up. Right, so let's re-ink this up. There we go. Like that, and then we pop that down. Another way of getting really even pressure, you can buy things that actually push down, but I find using slightly damp cloth works quite well. And that just over the stamp, and then we lift that up. And we have a beautiful, no we don't see, but still we can go back in and just where that extra bit needs doing, and we know it'll be fine. Whereas if we'd done it with the block, that would have been gone. It would have been no use at all. So that's there to use as a background. Obviously if you wanted to cut all of them out, you'd have to use a slightly bigger piece of paper to get the whole butterfly on. But the other thing I do with these as well, if I can just get a piece of scrap, so I have this stamped now, and say I just want, I don't know, this butterfly, so I'm going to have this one and I want to die cut it out. So I'll pop my piece of paper on there, ink up the butterfly, which is here. So you only need to ink up the one you want. There we go. And I'm just going to stamp that down on there. So I just have the single butterfly that I can then cut out using the dies, which is what we'll cut a lot. We'll cut one. Let's just get the dies out and I'll show you. So it's the bottom one I've done here. So you just put it through the die machine, just like that. So you've got, so you're not having to cut them all at once. If you don't want to, you can just cut one at a time. Okay, so there you go, the Stamparatus. It is a really useful stamping tool, and see, oh, stuck. And then until I tend to keep these, particularly with the butterflies, or if there's a particular stamp I use a lot, so that I can just use them again. Although you have to remember where you stuck your stamp. So, but you can actually get grid paper that fits this. So, although as I say, at the moment I just use the larger one and cut it down a bit. Right, so as you can see, I think it's a really useful piece of kit to have. And do you know, the one thing I haven't checked is the price. I think it's about £28. Let me double check on here. Stamparatus, 144 in the catalogue if you want to have a look at some more. So here it is in the catalogue, and the Stamparatus, oh sorry, it's £46, and you can buy extra magnets, small grid paper, and extra foam mat if you want, that's got metric measurements on. But when you think, so that costs £46 and you can stamp anything on. To buy all of the blocks, even with the 10% off of the bundle, is £67. So it's, if you're just starting out and don't have many blocks, it's really useful. It's not an advanced, you know, not necessarily an advanced stamper's tool, but if you're wanting to do your 2 and 3 step stamping like this is, then it's really useful to have as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this morning. I'm off to think about what I'm going to do with these bits of stamping that I've done today, and have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you next Monday. Thanks for watching. Bye.